Hello, my name is Gary Schwartz, and I'm here interviewing Dr. Richard Rosenquist, who served as the president from ASRA from 2005 to 2007. This interview is part of the activities surrounding the 100th anniversary of the founding for the first American Society of Regional Anesthesia in 1923 by Gaston Labat and colleagues. Although this organization is not related to the current day ASRA Pain Medicine, which was founded in 1975, it has been said that the current society would not have existed quite like it does without the work of Dr. Labat and the original ASRA. We welcome Dr. Richard Rosenquist, the chairman of the Department of Pain Management from the Cleveland Clinic. So welcome, Dr. Rosenquist.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all mine. So what was the path of events that led you to becoming the president of ASRA Pain Medicine?
If I go all the way back, it's doing my fellowship with a former president of ASRA, Brendan Finucane. He came up as a visiting professor at Northwestern University, and I had the privilege of escorting him around. So I took him out to breakfast, and over breakfast, he convinced me that I should come to Emory University to do a fellowship in regional anesthesia. And that was the start of it. He introduced me to ASRA, had me attend my first meetings and do my first presentations, and encouraged me in my career. As I finally became a program chair and then moved on to the board of directors, things accelerated a little bit because Mark Lima had been elected or had moved up the officer track in ASRA, and at the same time became the president of the American Society of Anesthesiologists. As a result, he had to step down, and it moved several of us quicker into the leadership track for ASRA. And so I had the privilege of being president from 2005 to 2007.
And it was an honor to have you running the society. So that sounds like you had some pretty good advantages along with a lot of hard work. Any obstacles that you have to overcome to serve? Obviously, other than the time commitments, probably.
I think the time commitment was probably the biggest thing. Other obstacles, I had great support from people at the university where I was working, and from colleagues and from former mentors. So I really felt it a privilege and didn't have a huge number of obstacles to actually get into that role and to participate and serve.
I'm sure Dr. Lima, he served the society wonderfully, but what were the predominant needs or issues of ASRA at the time, if you remember from when you were president?
The things that were going on in the day, just previously under Terry Horlocker's leadership, she was dealing with a number of issues related to shrinkage of the society, shrinkage of the meetings, and we had really gone way, way down in our attendance at meetings. There had been a number of things that the organization had to do to get the budget back in balance and to reinvigorate the society, and Terry did a magnificent job of navigating treacherous waters and moving us forward. So a lot of what was going on was trying to regrow the society, expand the attendance at the meetings, and to reinvigorate the society. Perhaps one of my biggest challenges was we had negotiated a new service agreement or management agreement, and we left a management organization that had managed ASRA from its inception in 1975 until 2005. And I had the privilege and honor of working and orienting and getting accustomed to a brand new management organization at the beginning of my presidency.
That
So
sounds
they
like
had no history with us, and it was all new adventures.
that sounds like a pretty big challenge, but seems like it was worked out pretty well for yourself and the society. And how do you think ASRA moved the bar during your leadership to become what they are today from learning on their past?
I think there was a real effort to get more people involved in ASRA and to get the meetings to be much larger. We were early on in discussions. Ultrasound was just getting going. And so looking at things that were going on, there was a lot of discussion about whether or not ASRA could become a certifying organization or a major teaching organization for this new thing of ultrasound. And you can see what's happened to that over the years. There was a lot of interest in growing anesthesia training and fellowship training, and Greg Liguri and the Regional Anesthesia Fellowship Program Directors Group was getting started and moving along. We had only been doing pain meetings since 2001. So we're really trying to get ASRA recognized as a major pain society in addition to a regional anesthesia society for tasks that we were faced with and trying to expand and grow.
Do you think the specialty of anesthesiology was ready to accept whatever ASRA had to offer? I know it's a totally different world now with ultrasound. I remember the days of the nerve stimulator and just a lot of local and a lot of prayer when that incision was made. So we've come a long way.
It's changed dramatically, and the teaching was changing. The types of courses that we were offering were changing. There was a bigger interest in being involved from an advocacy standpoint, even early on. And I look back at some of the things that were going on then. It was trying to get better payment for neuromodulation services, trying to get appropriate payment for ultrasound guided blocks and the use of ultrasound with the associated time and expense that was characteristic of it early on in its development. Really expanding a lot more teaching. And so there was a lot of effort put forth in addressing those issues.
I think you addressed a lot of them, and I think the society continues to carry on your legacy. So I know we mentioned Terry Herlocker, we mentioned Mark Lima, Greg Ligori. Was there anyone else that was helpful to listen to while you were the president?
Two of my major mentors who are also past presidents, which are Brendan Finucane and David Brown. I think very, very often of John Rawlingson and the things that he taught me during my time on the board prior to becoming an officer, and being able to reach out to him and other people to get some advice and feedback on various aspects of running ASRA and the history of ASRA, and trying to make sure that we were staying on track. And then, my peers, people like Terry Horlocker and Kaiser Enneking and Denise Waddell and Oscar De Leon Casasola and so many others that were part and parcel of getting through the process and helping the organization succeed.
Well, it seems like you're yourself as a legend in the field, and you've obviously had a lot of help along the way with other legends. Other than the ultrasound, which is a game changer in regional anesthesia, payment for neuromodulation, and obviously the management services agreement, any other different perspectives that you had to offer or foster as presidents or changing in thinking of practice? Those are the payment of neuromodulation and ultrasound pretty much changed regional anesthesia and chronic pain management. Is there anything else that changed in your practice when you were president?
I think we really tried to push the importance of education and to expand the involvement in the resident section, and really tried to reinvigorate that as a pipeline for the society, as a pipeline for future practitioners of regional anesthesia and pain medicine, and trying to incorporate a larger group of people into the society. That growth of the society in terms of numbers was not just, let's get more people at the meeting, but really, if we were going to have an impact on pain medicine and regional anesthesia going forward, we needed more people who were committed to doing these things in clinical practice and driving the standards of excellence forward. And I think the other thing that we really took on was trying to reestablish the relationship with ASRA in working and providing an international perspective and providing exchange of ideas and information back and forth between Europe and the United States, because some of those things had fallen off. The people hadn't been going back and forth as much as they had in the past. And so we really tried to reinvigorate that and gain valuable perspective from our European colleagues.
You must feel quite fulfilled between the different ideas on social media, and then also the different amount of people attending both meetings, both ESRA and ASRA over the past 5 years. You must feel that like that mission was completely fulfilled.
It's amazing to watch how many people are coming to these meetings now. When I see the size of the regional anesthesia and pain medicine meetings, I can remember sitting at a table in Chile with Jim Eisenack and Admir Hadzik and Jerry Vlach and other talking about a pain medicine meeting for ASRA. before it was even created. And then watching this come from concept to reality to something that now has a long history and a really large attendance and a large impact. And watching other things change within ASRA going forward. So it's really exciting to have been here to watch this all along the way.
Yeah, I personally thank you for all your efforts. So now it's a commitment to serve on the board of ASRA, but it's a whole different level to be the president. How was your department when you said, hey, I was asked to be the ASRA president?
Everybody was supportive because they knew I'd been involved in the board, and I was very fortunate at the time. I was working at the University of Iowa, and so my mentor and a former ASRA president was the chairman of the Department of Anesthesia at the University of Iowa, and that was David Brown. And so I had really strong support from the chair of the department and the other members of the Division of Pain Medicine. So I was in a very fortunate situation. I had somebody who understood the role, encouraged the role, and supported me in that role.
Any tips for someone who's looking to get into the board to have the support of their department or their private group for future members to maybe follow your lead?
But I think a lot of it is sharing what's going on and really helping people understand the impact of these leadership roles. I think we can never underestimate what it goes on. And I think there's many, many times when people really don't understand all the other phone calls that are going on or emails that are going on or issues that people are trying to work on. And I think when the presidents give their ASRA updates, it's a chance to share at the meetings what's going on. But I think as you get involved in the board and you can share things that are not necessarily confidential, keeping your local department and your local state society and others aware of what's going on is really important to garner support and to have them understand what the society's doing locally and nationally and internationally.
You spoke about a lot of the difficulties you've had as the ASRA president, some of the financial burdens you had to overcome, and how you moved up in your career. But is there any one fun or defining moment that you could discuss during your presidency that maybe talks about some of the celebration of ASRA?
Yeah, I think the thing that really stands out in my mind during the spring ASRA meeting of 2007, I had the privilege of getting the past presidents and the founding fathers all together for a celebration. And so having everybody with the exception of Harold Caron present was really an exciting moment. And to be able to watch past presidents and the founding fathers interact on a social basis, to get them up on the podium and to have people have the opportunity to sit down and meet and talk with these giants in the field, Alan Winnie and Breidenbau and Prithvi Raj, right? And Jordan Katz was really such a great honor. And to say that that was organized during one of the annual meetings that I had the privilege of being president during was really an exciting event for me.
That sounds like a wonderful evening and such an amazing experience to have those giants in the field and all the past presidents. It just embodies what the society is. So I think your mission continued the work of Dr. Labatt and the rest of his colleagues 100 years ago. But if you could put into your own words to define ASRA, how would you do it, Dr. Rosenquist?
I think when I think of ASRA, I think of a place that has really fostered my entire career. The people that are there have been extremely approachable, have been supportive. It's a meeting that I look forward to going to, not only because I go to learn, but because I get to interact with people that I truly enjoy being around. So in a sense, it's my extended professional family. I really look forward to seeing the people there. And it's not just the people that are my own age, but the young people that I get to interact with, to watch their careers develop. I just looked at, the Distinguished Service Award that was provided to Ban Sui. And I had the privilege of inviting him to be the very first resident speaker for plenary sessions at the ASRA annual meeting in 1999. And my confidence in what he was doing, which nobody else in the world was doing at the time, has been borne out as we've watched his stellar career move forward. So it's a chance to say it's been supportive. It's been a great growth environment. It's a chance to interact with other people who are free with their ideas. And I've encountered people who said, let me support you, let me help you, let me answer your questions. And I hope, and I think I've watched it do that for so many other people in their careers.
Oh, it's one of the most diverse, welcoming societies that I'm a part of. I had the honor of serving on a few committees with you. I wanted to thank you for a few things. One, for serving for the president of ASRA. You really did so much for this society and helped its growth. And everyone thanks you. Thank you for the interview and just for being a giant in the field and furthering the education of regional anesthesia and pain management.
Thank you so much.